The year is AD 60. Nero has been emperor for the past 6 years, following the death of his uncle, Claudius. And in the lands of the Iceni, the ashes of their dead king, Prasuticus, shall soon be gathered from the funeral pyre. His wife, 2 daughters, and his people are unaware that they are to be thrust into the realms and annals of history, myths, and legends. Following the death of Prasuticus, having left no male heir, Rome not only called in all loans, but also made a claim of full ownership against the lands of the Iceni and its people. Boudica strongly contested all these claims and told the Romans to leave her lands. To press their point home, the Romans had Boudica flogged and her 2 daughters, Iselda and Ciora, defiled by soldiers of the legions. Believing the matter now closed, the governor of Britain, Gaius Suetonius Paulinus, led his legions on a campaign to the island of Mona, modern-day Anglesey, which had now become a refuge and stronghold for British rebels, as well as being the home of the Druids. Seizing this opportunity, the Iceni, Trinovantes and others joined Boudica in a revolt against Roman occupation and oppression. They attacked Camulodunum, the former capital of the Trinovantes. It was now largely settled by retired legionaries who would all become well versed in the mistreatment of local Britons. Boudica's army razed the city to the ground, sparing the lives of none. The 9th Legion, commanded by Quintus Petilius Suralis, rushed to relieve the city but was intercepted. His entire infantry cohorts were wiped out by Boudica's forces. Only Suralis and a few of his cavalry escaped the onslaught. When Paulinus heard the news of the uprising, he took a small number of cavalry and made all haste to Londinium. Assessing the situation, he considered the new city would have to be sacrificed if the province was to be saved. He headed back up Watling Street as Boudica's forces sacked Londinium. Paulinus put out a call for all available legions and auxiliary troops to muster north of Verulamium. He is eventually joined by his own legion, the 14th, returning from Mona, and various detachments of the 20th, as well as some auxiliary units. However, the prefect of the 2nd Legion ignores the call completely. As Boudica's forces now attack Verulamium, Paulinus, with an estimated strength of 10,000 troops, prepares the ground for an open field battle. Boudica's forces lack the skills, training, discipline and overall cohesion for this type of warfare, and although Paulinus' troops are vastly outnumbered, they take the day. Following the Battle of Watling Street, neither Boudica or her daughters were captured or ever seen again. But Paulinus' savage retribution against the people of those tribes who had rebelled was so extreme and disproportionate that even Nero became concerned, and within a year of the battle he replaces Paulinus with a more conciliatory governor. Following the suicide of Nero in June of 68 AD, Rome was thrown into a brief period of civil war in what has become known as the Year of the 4 Emperors. The Brigantes were ruled by Queen Cartamandua, a loyal subject of Rome since the very first days of the invasion back in 43 AD. Her ex-husband, Venutius, had long been a rebel against Roman occupation and had waged war on his ex-wife and her Roman protectors. Even before the Boudican uprising, Venutius had been building allegiances both within and outside of the Brigantes. And with this period of instability in Rome, Venutius staged his revolt against her. With the Romans no longer able to fully protect her, Cartamandua had to flee to Rome, and now the Brigantes had a warrior king instead of a Roman-loving queen to lead them. It was Vespasian who emerged successfully as emperor from the Roman civil war, and one of his close relatives was Quintus Petilius Ceralis, the same man who had led the 9th Legion to its destruction at the outset of the Boudiccan rebellion. And in 71 AD, Vespasian appoints Ceralis as the new governor to Britain. He was assisted by Gnaeus Julius Agricola, who commanded the 20th Legion. Agricola was also a veteran of the Boudiccan rebellion, then serving as a junior officer under the command of Gaius Suetonius Paulinus. Between them, they set out on a major campaign against the Brigantes and claimed that they had beaten Venutius in a battle which took place somewhere near modern-day Stanwick. For nearly 30 years, Venutius had been fighting against a Roman invasion. He most likely took part in the Boudiccan rebellion and may even been responsible for the slaughter of the 9th Legion. Venutius died of wounds received in battle. His people, the Brigantes, honoured their warrior king by building cairns in their most sacred of places, and none was more such than that of Catewaem. From the cairn of Venutius, it's then due west past the Sisters of Brock, onto the twin towers of the wireless station, and then cutting due south to Cowper's Cross. I have had people tell me that these are the Thimble Stones. No, these are the Sisters of Brock. The Thimble Stones are directly south of them on the other side of the stone wall which runs behind them. The Sisters themselves are facing north towards Badger Stone. Now, I have heard one story many years ago that the Sisters are really a coven of witches, just another of the legacies of Christianity. The story of the Sisters is one that would warm the cockles of your heart on the coldest of winter nights. Perhaps that's a story for another time, though. The twin wireless towers, I have to say, fit nicely within the landscape for me. It's as though they firmly underscore the true essence and nature of Catewaem. They are here because here is the right place for them. Two great phallic icons impregnating the surrounding lands with all manner of messages, and they do so using something that can't be seen, but can be clearly understood once we've tuned in to the right wavelength. In contrast to the towers, Cowper's Cross, named after a local farmer, is very much out of place within this landscape. It was erected here a few centuries ago in a bid to stop local people holding gatherings and markets at Badger Rock at certain times of the year. Local folklore has it that the cross was split in two by a bolt of lightning. Modern-day pagans have recently been accused of committing acts of vandalism to the cross. Paganism is a derogative term first used by Christians to describe rustic people whose way of life and beliefs differed from theirs. The cross may be out of place upon Catewaem, but it should be left intact and unmolested, if only to serve as a constant reminder that oppression and suppression are but other forms of circles in life and within the landscape in which we play out our brief existence. From Cowper's Cross, I'm continuing west on towards East Buckstones and then to West Buckstones. East and West Buckstones, they may well be known, and as benign as they may look today, I know this place is Porate Terra, the gateway to three worlds, and it was from here that Queen Aurigan summoned a spirit that is so ancient that it surpasses all that is good or evil. It is both the brightest of light and the blackest darkness of time and space. even the gods fear his very name. Omne Pote. The wars with Demoradon, lord of all Galiza, had grown out of all proportion. Summoning Omne Pote took great effort and courage. Now standing in his presence, Queen Aurigan felt overwhelmed by the vastness of nothing. It was as though she had stood on the precipice, looking into the abyss. In that instant, she came to understand that Omne Pote had witnessed countless universes spark brightly into being, only to watch them fade inevitably into the darkness, like ripples from the pebble that had been thrown into a lake of still water. Omne Pote laid out all the sands of time before her. If she wanted his help, then she would have to prove worthy of it. He then reached into the firmament and plucked 9 worlds from the vastness of space and placed them gently within her hand. Without destroying or altering them, from 9 made 10 upon the sands of time. Omne Pote was setting Aurigan a puzzle, but one upon which all of time was laid bare before her. After a moment's thought, she placed the 9 worlds onto the sand to form a cross. Omne Pote smiled, and the light of his being shone a little more brightly. With his finger, he then drew an outline about the 10. Tell me, Queen Aurigan, what is its meaning? It was now Aurigan's turn to smile, and she gently whispered the answer to him. Omne Pote once again reached into the firmament and plucked the earth from the heavens and placed it within the sands of time. From this union, the son of earth was then created, a man who would lead the armies of Katiwem to victory over the Galiza. From Porate Terra, I'm now making my way down to what is known today as the Sepulchre Stone. Sit beneath the boughs of the larch and listen to the words of Princess Anemone rustle through its canopy, and she will tell you the story of a man born to save her and all of Katiwem. His remains rest beneath the stone of Arte Arud, and it's with some irony that this stone is today known as the Sepulchre, after the tomb of Jesus Christ. Legend says that as the son of Omne Pote and Queen Aurigan, his body shall always be of the earth, but his very being shall never know eternal sleep. He has been reborn to the earth many times, and known by many names. He is the stuff of myth and legend, but he shall be here at Katiwem when all the great winters have wiped away all that has been before. From Atearud, it's on to Whitewell's Calf. "2,000 years ago, the place we now call Ilkley was at the heart of the Brigantine Kingdom. Following the death of King Venutius and during the governorship of Gnaeus Julius Agricola between 78 AD and 84 AD, the Romans built a fort here to protect the bridge which crossed the River Wharfe. Named as Vitellius, Olicana or Verbiaia, it was in all probability constructed by auxiliary soldiers under the command of Roman legionaries of the 9th Legion, which was then being reformed after its defeat during the Boudiccan Rebellion some 20 years earlier. The fort would have been garrisoned by a cohort of infantry and cavalry auxiliaries, around 500 men all told. At the time, the 9th Legion was being replenished with men from the Germanian provinces. Whilst the Romans couldn't care less about the well-being or the lives of the local indigenous people, they did care about upsetting the gods, even those of the people they had conquered. It was usual for the Romans to adopt local gods and deities into their own pantheon of gods. They took this so seriously that they would have taken great care to identify those local gods and sacred of places so as not to offend or desecrate. When you consider the Romans were here for the best part of 300 years, isn't it strange that we don't have Brute erat he carved into the stones upon Catiwayem? Whitewell's is a late 18th century reminder that Ilkley was once a thriving spa town, visited by no less than Charles Darwin back in 1859. It has at some point been claimed that there has been a bath on this location since the days of the Romans. A cold plunge bath still exists today, and a New Year's Day dip has become a bit of a local ritual and custom. You can of course buy refreshments at the cafe, as well as making a wish before throwing a few bob into the waters of the bath. Carrying on with a tradition that stretches all the way back to the days when our ancestors carved water ripples into the stone for the gods to hear their hopes, dreams, fears and prayers. Now ask yourself, just how welcomed and reassured would you feel if your nation's flag was flying at Bumon Pavilion in Gyeongju, South Korea? Before leaving Whitewell's, take a moment to pop around the back and grab yourself a cool drink of sparkling spring water from the well. From Whitewell's, it's then back up to RBTM, where our walk on Catiwayem comes to a close. Today, Ilkley Moor is all about cloth caps, brass bands and a ditty little tune. In this programme, I know I've taken a series of light-hearted snapshots of man's time on the moor, but Catiwayem has a rich and diverse story to tell in her own right. She once held great importance within the minds and hearts of people from far and wide. Whenever I'm here, I know I'm with the gods, walking in the footsteps of kings and a proud people of long ago.